French gangs challenging the police in concrete housing estates, Italian mafias ruling cities for generations, Spanish cartels smuggling tons of cocaine, and Balkan clans building empires amid wartime chaos. The result? A reload of weapons. Some mafias earn more than small countries. Others use submarines to dodge radars. Want to know who we're talking about? Watch until the end of today's episode about European gangs. Let's get started. Italy, the land of mafias. Italy, the land of pizza, wine, and mafias. When you think of crime, you probably picture Sicily, scenes from The Godfather, and guys in sharp suits sipping espresso under palm trees. But the truth about Italian gangs is far more complex and darker. The Italian mafia isn't just the legendary Cosa Nostra, known from Hollywood. It's also the 'Ndrangheta from Calabria, the Camorra from Naples, Sacra Corona Unita from Apulia, and even lesser-known groups like Stida or Sardinian clans. Each is a distinct beast with its own structure, specialization, and history. Today, I'll tell you how these organizations operate, why they're so powerful, and why, even in 2025, they still hold Italy in an iron grip. Let's start with the 'Ndrangheta, the true giant of the criminal world. If Cosa Nostra is the king of the past, 'Ndrangheta is the emperor of the present. It hails from Calabria, one of Italy's poorest regions where unemployment and corruption are daily realities. But don't be fooled. This mafia is a global powerhouse. According to a 2023 report from Italy's Direzione Investigativa Antimafia, 'Ndrangheta controls up to 80% of Europe's cocaine trade. Their annual profits? Estimated at 50 to 60 billion euros, more than the budgets of countries like Croatia or Serbia. For comparison, that's roughly the annual revenue of global giants like McDonald's. Where does all this money come from? First, structure. 'Ndrangheta operates like a network of family clans called Ndrine. Each clan is literally a family: brothers, cousins, uncles, even in-laws. Betrayal is almost impossible because who would turn in their own mother or sister? This sets them apart from other mafias, where loyalty is based on fear or money. Second, logistics. 'Ndrangheta has mastered key ports like Gioia Tauro in Calabria, one of the largest transshipment hubs in the Mediterranean. According to Europol, up to 80% of cocaine from South America, mainly Colombia and Bolivia, passes through this port. Containers of bananas or timber? Often just a cover for the white powder. But 'Ndrangheta isn't just about drugs. They invest in legal businesses, from restaurants in Milan to hotels in Germany. In 2022, Italian police discovered that one Calabrian clan had stakes in a supermarket chain in Australia. This shows how global they are, but their strength is also their weakness. The bigger the network, the easier it is to infiltrate. I'll tell you later how the police struck a blow against them. Now let's move to Naples, where the Camorra reigns. If 'Ndrangheta is a precise machine, Camorra is chaos on steroids. It's not one organization, but a loose federation of clans fighting for territory, influence, and money. Unlike the hierarchical Cosa Nostra, Camorra is more like a collection of street gangs that team up when it suits them. Their brutality shocks even the Italian police, who've seen it all. In 2004, during the so-called First Scampia War, over 100 people were killed in a few months in clan disputes. Shootings in broad daylight, car arsons, and even attacks on rivals' families. This is daily life in some Naples neighborhoods. Camorra thrives on drugs but has another dirty business: garbage. Yes, you heard that right. In the 1990s and 2000s, Camorra took over illegal waste disposal in Campania. Toxic factory waste, instead of being properly disposed of, ended up in fields, rivers, or buried underground. The result? A spike in cancer rates in the region, contaminated soil and water. According to a 2019 investigation, this business brought Camorra billions of euros annually at the expense of residents' health. It shows how mafias exploit system weaknesses. Speaking of smaller players, let's mention Sacra Corona Unita from Apulia. This mafia is younger, formed in the 80s, and specializes in smuggling. Drugs, people, you name it. Apulia, with its long coastline, is a perfect transit point for contraband from the Balkans. Sacra Corona Unita is less famous but no less dangerous. In 2021, 50 of its members were arrested for trafficking migrants and heroin. What makes Italian mafias so enduring? Above all, culture and social context. In many regions, especially in the South, the mafia acts like a state within a state. It provides jobs where the government fails. It settles disputes between neighbors. It organizes festivals and sometimes even funds church renovations. For many residents, they're not criminals but men of honor who help survive tough times. Take this example. In 2020, during the pandemic, Camorra clans distributed food and money in Naples' poorest neighborhoods. This builds loyalty, but also shows how deeply rooted the mafia is in society. But the mafia isn't untouchable. In 2023, Italian police, in collaboration with Europol, conducted Operation Eureka, one of the largest in the history of fighting 'Ndrangheta. Over 300 people were arrested across 10 countries, from Italy to Brazil. They seized 3 tons of cocaine, 20 million euros in cash, and froze hundreds of bank accounts. This was possible thanks to years of infiltration, wiretapping, and international cooperation. Crucial was recruiting informants, including family members who broke the code of omertà, the vow of silence at all costs. It shows that even the strongest mafias have people within their ranks who can be broken. What do you think? Why do people still support the mafia despite it destroying their cities? Or is the system a bigger problem than the criminals? Let me know in the comments. France, gangs of the banlieues. Now we move to France, a country associated with the Eiffel Tower, croissants, and romantic Parisian streets. But today, we're not strolling down the Champs-Élysées. I'm taking you to the concrete suburbs of big cities like Paris, Marseille, and Lyon. Here, gangs don't wear suits like the Italian mafia, but hoodies and sneakers. These are young people, often children of immigrants from North Africa, Sub-Saharan Africa, or the Middle East, who feel excluded from the French dream of equality and prosperity. Their world is gray housing estates, high unemployment, and constant tension with the police. In these tower blocks, gangs are born that challenge the system, sometimes literally with an AK-47 in hand. Let's start with Marseille, a city some call Europe's Chicago due to its bloody gang wars. Marseille is Europe's port gateway, through which flows hashish from Morocco and cocaine from Latin America. According to a 2023 French police report, the city is a key transit point for drugs in Western Europe. Here, gangs like DZ Mafia and Yoda rule. Their names sound like video game aliases, but their actions are deadly serious. They use automatic weapons, and shootings in broad daylight are almost routine. In 2022, 32 people died in Marseille's gang conflicts, and in 2023, that number rose to 49, according to France's Ministry of the Interior. What fuels these wars? Drug money. A kilogram of cocaine on Marseille's streets can fetch up to 30,000 euros, and hashish is even easier to get thanks to Morocco's proximity. These gangs aren't just bands of delinquents. They operate like organized groups with leaders, scouts, and dealers. In 2021, police discovered that DZ Mafia was using drones to monitor rivals and police. Their brutality is shocking. In one high-profile case in 2023, Yoda members set fire to a rival's family car to send a message. But Marseille isn't just about violence. Gangs build loyalty by offering young people jobs and a sense of belonging. In neighborhoods where youth unemployment hits 40%, being a dealer is often the only career path for many. Now let's head to Paris, specifically the suburbs like Clichy-sous-Bois, Saint-Denis, or La Courneuve. Here, gangs operate differently than in Marseille. It's less about big money and more about territory, respect, and control over the estate. These groups, often called bandits, are usually young people aged 15 to 25 who deal small-scale marijuana, rob tourists, or organize illegal fights. But don't be fooled by their amateur image. According to a 2024 police report from the Île-de-France region, over 400 such groups operate around Paris, and their organization is constantly improving. Some bandes even have their own weapon stashes and use social media like Snapchat to coordinate activities. Interestingly, Parisian gangs are closely tied to social tensions. Remember the 2005 riots that started in Clichy-sous-Bois after 2 teenagers died while being chased by police? Moments like these are when gangs gain strength, fueling anger against the system. In 2023, after riots sparked by the police killing of 17-year-old Nahel Merzouk, Gangs in the banlieues use the chaos to loot stores and attack police stations. This shows how closely crime is linked to social issues like discrimination and poverty. French gangs also have a place in pop culture, making them even more fascinating and dangerous. Rappers from the banlieues like PNL, SCH, or Ninho showcase block life in their lyrics and videos, dealing, police chases, loyalty to the crew. Their music is almost a chronicle of gang life, and their videos, shot in the estates, rack up millions of views on YouTube. For many kids in the suburbs, rap becomes an inspiration and gangs a symbol of rebellion. But it's a double-edged sword. Pop culture glorifies violence, making it harder to fight gangs. In 2022, the French government even debated censoring some drill tracks that openly called for killings. But there's a glimmer of hope. French police are increasingly effective at dismantling gangs, especially in Marseille. In 2024, Operation Clean Streets led to the arrest of 70 DZ mafia members and the seizure of 2 tons of hashish. Social programs are also key. In some neighborhoods, youth centers offer sports, music, or vocational courses as alternatives to gangs. But the fight is uneven because the system that breeds these gangs is still thriving. Before we head to Spain, I invite you to my X and Telegram, where I share news and behind-the-scenes tidbits. Links, as always, are in the video description. Spain, the gateway of smuggling. Spain, the land of flamenco, tapas, and Costa del Sol beaches. But beneath this postcard facade lies a dark world of crime. Why is Spain a paradise for gangsters? Because it's Europe's gateway. With over 8,000 kilometers of coastline and key ports like Algeciras, Malaga, and Barcelona, the country is a perfect transit point for drugs from Latin America and North Africa. And where there are drugs, there are gangs, and not just any gangs. In Spain, you'll find cartels operating like corporations and street gangs, spreading fear with machetes. Ready for a journey into the world of Spanish crime? Let's dive in. The most powerful are the Spanish cartels, which collaborate with Colombian, Venezuelan, and Moroccan smugglers. Their specialty, cocaine and hashish. According to a 2024 Europol report, Spain is the main entry point for cocaine from South America into Europe, with the port of Algeciras being the continent's biggest drug hub. In March 2024, Spain's Guardia Civil seized 13 tons of cocaine hidden in banana containers, the largest confiscation in the country's history, with a street value of over 600 million euros. But that's just the tip of the iceberg. It's estimated that only 10 to 20% of smuggled drugs are intercepted. The rest flood the streets of Madrid, London, Berlin, or Warsaw. How do these cartels operate? Like international corporations. They have logisticians planning smuggling routes, lawyers laundering dirty money, and even hackers securing communications through encrypted apps. In 2023, an investigation revealed that a Galician cartel, known as the Os Fanchos clan, used submarines to transport cocaine from Colombia. These so-called narco subs can carry up to 3 tons of drugs per trip, and their design makes them nearly undetectable. This shows how advanced criminal technology has become. But Spain isn't just about port cartels. In big cities like Madrid, Barcelona, and Valencia, Latin American gangs are rising, brought by immigrants from Central America and the Caribbean. The most notorious are MS-13 and Trinitarios, hailing from El Salvador and the Dominican Republic, respectively. These groups are brutal. Their signature is machete attacks and ritual murders. In February 2023, Madrid police arrested 40 Trinitarios members after a series of bloody territorial battles in the Usera district. According to Spain's Ministry of the Interior, Latin American gangs were responsible for over 200 violent incidents in the capital in 2023, from assaults to murders. What drives these gangs? For MS-13 and Trinitarios, it's often about controlling small-scale drug trafficking and extorting local businesses. But their strength also lies in culture. For young immigrants who feel excluded in Spain, the gang is a family offering belonging and protection. In Madrid, gangs recruit kids as young as 14, promising quick cash and respect. It's a sad echo of social issues like inequality and integration challenges. What sets Spanish gangs apart? Globalization. They operate like international networks, partnering with mafias from Morocco to Russia. For example, Galician cartels work with Albanian clans supplying heroin, while Moroccan gangs provide hashish. This network is so vast it reaches Australia and Dubai. In 2022, Europol announced the dismantling of a so-called super cartel that controlled 30% of Europe's cocaine trade. The operation arrested 49 people, including leaders from Spain, the Netherlands, and Dubai, and seized 30 tons of drugs. Cracking the cartel's encrypted communication was key. It shows how technology aids both criminals and police. I made a separate episode about the super cartel, so check it out later. Would legalizing drugs stop these cartels or just shift their business? Or is the root issue something deeper, like social inequalities? Let me know in the comments. The Balkans, Empire of Chaos. For the final stop on our journey through gangster Europe, we land in the Balkans, a region where crime thrives on the ruins of the 1990s wars. Serbia, Albania, Bosnia, Montenegro. These are places where gangs operate like armies, and the line between crime and politics often blurs. You won't find suave mafiosos in suits or kids in hoodies here. Balkan clans are organized, disciplined groups controlling smuggling routes and building empires in the shadow of chaos. From heroin to human trafficking, from submarines to international networks, the Balkans are Europe's Wild West. Let's start with Albanian clans, true legends of the criminal world. Albanians are known for discipline, brutality, and a code of honor called besa. This word means loyalty and promise. Betray the clan and there's no forgiveness. According to a 2023 Europol report, Albanian crime groups control a significant share of Europe's heroin trade, as well as cocaine and human smuggling. Their main route? The so-called Balkan route, stretching from Afghanistan through Turkey, Albania, and Montenegro to Western Europe. Albania, with its long coastline and poorly guarded ports, is a perfect transit hub. How advanced are they? In 2023, the Albanian Duka clan made headlines when Spanish and Albanian police accused it of smuggling 2 tons of cocaine into Western Europe. How? Using narco-subs, small submarines that can carry tons of drugs underwater, bypassing radars. These vessels, built in makeshift South American shipyards, cost up to €1 million. But for clans, that's pocket change compared to the profits. A single cocaine shipment can fetch €50 million on the black market. But Albanians aren't just about drugs. They lead in human smuggling, from Middle Eastern migrants to victims of human trafficking. In 2022, British police dismantled an Albanian network that smuggled 10,000 migrants across the English Channel, earning £150 million. Now let's move to Serbia, where gangs have different roots. Many stem from militias from the Yugoslav wars of the 90s. After the conflicts ended, former soldiers and paramilitaries, instead of returning to civilian life, turned to crime. The most notorious group is the Zeman clan, which in the 2000s was involved in arms trafficking, drugs, and contract killings. Their leader, Milorad Legija Ulemek, was once part of an elite military unit before becoming one of Serbia's most dangerous criminals. The Zeman clan gained infamy for assassinating Prime Minister Zoran Đinđić in 2003, an event that shook Serbia and showed how deeply gangs infiltrate politics. Today, Serbian gangs mainly operate in Belgrade, but their influence reaches Austria, Germany, and even Scandinavia. They specialize in heroin and arms trafficking, leveraging wartime contacts. In 2023, Serbian police arrested 20 members of a Novi Sad gang smuggling weapons from the Balkans to Sweden, where they were used in street gang wars. This shows how the Balkans remain Europe's arsenal. Everything from rifles to grenades is for sale. What gives Balkan gangs an edge? Chaos. Weak states, widespread corruption, and poverty leave police often powerless. In Albania and Bosnia, per capita GDP is among Europe's lowest, and corruption permeates even the highest levels of power. A 2022 Transparency International report flagged Albania as one of the region's most corrupt countries, making it easy for gangs to buy off officials and cops. Add to that the war legacy. Countries like Serbia and Bosnia are still awash with illegal weapons, and former veterans train new generations of criminals. But the Balkans aren't all darkness. There's hope. More young people are rebelling against gangster culture. In Albania, NGOs like Youth for Change offer alternatives, from music workshops to vocational training. In Serbia and Bosnia, social movements are fighting the corruption that fuels crime. Police are also scoring wins, especially with Europol's help. In 2024, Operation Balkan Shield led to 120 arrests in Albania, Serbia, and Montenegro, including Duka clan leaders. They seized 3 tons of cocaine and shut down 2 secret shipyards producing narco subs. It shows that even in the Balkans, gangs aren't untouchable. If you're into this topic, check out my previous episode on gangs in Europe, Netherlands, Germany, Sweden, and the UK. There was plenty to talk about there too. Which country intrigued you the most today, and should I make a deeper dive into it? Let me know in the comments and drop a sub if you haven't already.